You know, only nerds, the uninitiated, the dweebos, the lamos, the probies, the movie interns, or the yuppies only watch horror movies during the Halloween times. One time a year, at a certain month, at the end of the year, they watch the scary movies. The rest of us, the real horror movie fans, we're watching them every day, all year long. So for us, it's not a seasonal thing. You know, it's like a just another Thursday, right? I'm gonna try. The irony is, I'm gonna try, you know, real hard to nail this one, but I'm in such a bad mood to talk about movies that make you feel good. But that's what we're lining up. Feel good movies for a feel good season, right? Anyway, digest that, reflect on that, think about feeling good as we slip into the holiday season and bankruptcy, right? Everybody's going bankrupt for that PlayStation 7000, whatever it is. What's ever on Johnny's Christmas list, or little Susan's, or little Trevor's, or little Travis's, right? Or whatever you call your little offsprings. I don't know. Let's bounce another credit card. Let's do it. Let's feel good while we do it. Let's feel good about going into debt once again. Anyway, that's like a tangent. I hadn't even meant to say that much. I was going to say the one joke and then move on. And now I'm just breaking every wall possible. The fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, every single wall. Alright, anyway, we'll come back. We'll reflect on this. Like I said, we'll be back here in a moment.
Crack open a cold box of wine or pour something cold on ice because it's the Binge-Watchers podcast.
I do have a drink. It is red. It's delicious. The drink, not the apple. Let's see what's going on. Home video headlines, TV and movie stuff that I've heard sparked my interest. Back me up. Don't back me up. I don't know. Here's what's going on. Warner Brothers apparently blaming Joaquin Phoenix for Joker 2 sucking. There's going to be a new American Psycho adaptation. They're going to take the book again and make it into another movie. Which I was talking to some of my contemporaries about that, and I don't buy into the I feel old, let's get a mortgage, let's have kids situation to reflect back on it. But I go, oh man, yeah, we were like in, I don't know, high school or film school when they were making the other one. So it's been a minute, and now they're making another one. I think it's irrelevant. I don't know. Maybe the source material will have other scenes that were left out of the other movie, and they'll get to make them this time. I don't know. I don't even really care. I mean, if you haven't seen the first American Psycho, I guess you'll see the new one. Or read the book if you're still a reader. If you're reading things, you could read the book. Spain wouldn't let Corey Feldman into Spain to receive an award from Spain. Oh, and that new Alien Romulus, they're going to get a VHS edition. Tonight's movie, Brewster's Millions. Let's see. A minor league baseball player must spend $30 million in 30 days to inherit or get $300 million. Now, I've seen the one in the 80s. Alright? Where am I at? I did some headlines. We're moving on. We're talking about the movie of the week. Oh, you want some trivia? Would you like some trivia from Brewster's Millions? Here we go. Alright. In a few scenes, there's trains that pass through the outfield. In the Texas leagues back in the 30s and the 40s, that was a pretty common occurrence, actually. Like I said, it's based on a book. I didn't know there were 8 adaptations, though, even some foreign films. I didn't know that. I didn't even know it was a book. And I didn't even know the original Brewster's Millions was like in the 40s. I didn't know about the 80s one. During the filming of this movie, it actually included there's some scenes where you can catch the restoration of the Statue of Liberty. There was like a big redo in the 80s to do some cleanup, some restoration on that old girl. And anyway, it's memorialized in this movie. Let's see. Walter Hill directed 48 Hours. He also directed Brewster's Millions. And you can almost say, like, because there's a bar called Torchy's in both movies, you could say that both movies are set in the 48 Hours universe. Same universe, Brewster's Millions and 48 Hours. Now, Richard Pryor was actually set to star in 48 Hours. And again, the bars in both movies. Brewster's Millions is actually my favorite Richard Pryor movie. Next to only maybe Superman 3, Bustin' Loose. In April of 2004, Comedy Central, which used to be a network, right? It used to be this thing called Comedy Central. It was a channel all about comedy. It exists as an app now, or part of an app, part of, I think, the Paramount apps. Anyway, Comedy Central had ranked the 100 greatest stand-ups of all time. They ranked Richard Pryor as number number one. Both Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor were up for parts in 48 Hours, Trading Places, and Beverly Hills Cop. What's funny about that is, like, Eddie Murphy had said one of his idols in comedy was Richard Pryor. And there's a back and forth, and I think it's on some of the Eddie Murphy stuff, where there's like a maybe, not necessarily a rivalry, maybe some borrowed jokes, maybe? I don't know. You'd have to watch, like, documentaries about those guys, and I could just be flubbing the facts that I saw in some movie. I don't know, but I remember in the rumor mills that it was like, maybe they were just inspired by each other. I don't know. Eddie would watch him, he'd watch Eddie, who knows. Healthy competition, anyway, let's say that. We'll leave it at that. The co-star in here, John Candy, playing a character named Spike. But did you know that John Candy was born on October 31st? Born on Halloween? How crazy is that? You might know him from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Uncle Buck, or how about Cool Runnings? It's one of my favorites with John Candy. He's been in a bunch of stuff. Every time I mention a person on here, they're like, what about this movie? What about that movie? What about that movie? I can't list entire catalogs. We don't have time to catalog, all right? And get nostalgic or wax philosophical about catalogs. But I do want to mention some other cast members. Jerry Orbach, you might know him from like 200 episodes of the original Law & Order as one of the detectives. But he's also the dad from Dirty Dancing. Lynette McKee, she's like the female lead in this movie, the romantic lead. It's who he's pursuing. She plays Brewster's accountant. Will they, won't they, She thinks he's a madman for trying to spend all that money, and she's an accountant, so her job is to keep the money on track, and she's like, what's happening here? She doesn't know, and he can't tell her about the bet. He can't tell her. That's one of the clauses, right? Like, spoiler alert, he's kind of, his only living relative says, hey, you can get this money, but you got to spend this much, and you can't tell your friends and family why you're spending this much, or you lose everything. So that's one of the clauses in the game to play to get the money anyway. But anyway, Lynette McKee, she's apparently a musician out of Detroit, which I didn't know, and she's also an acting teacher. She has popped up in like 3 or 4 Spike Lee movies, but I really know her from playing in this movie. Pat Hingle, you remember the original Commissioner Gordon from Batman '89? He's also the bartender in The Quick and the Dead. So Pat Hingle's one of these actors that does like a lot of supporting roles, but he's pretty good as the original Commissioner Gordon, the original Batman movie. Now, Stephen Collins, I don't know. Recently there was some controversy. That guy fled Hollywood, and it was about like sexual impropriety or something on a movie set or in the TV world, or I don't know if it was a sexual harassment lawsuit or what, or an inappropriate relationship with a coworker. I don't know. But anyway, Stephen Collins, he's like fled to the Midwest or something. He's not even in acting anymore, but he was an actor in Star Trek motion picture Seventh Heaven. He played Eric, Camden? Yeah, like the dad in Seventh Heaven. That's probably his biggest thing. But he's in here. He's like one of the more devious characters. He works for the law firm trying to goink the money from Brewster, and he's there to kind of keep tabs on everybody. Peter Jason, he's in 48 Hours. He's also in this movie They Live, which I was talking about the other week. But he's another character actor that pops up in a lot of things. He's in here. That's it for trivia. We'll be right back with my favorite bits from Brewster's Millions. Have I already said it's one of my favorite movies? I don't know. Maybe I'll tell you that later. But we'll be right back after these messages. Hey nerds, this episode is brought to you by Manscaped, the leader in men's lifestyle and grooming. You know what? It's time to change the shave game again. They created this new product called the Chairman Pro, which sounds like, a shaver for board members or Trump and his buddies, but anyway, it's for everyone apparently. If you want to try it, 40% off, code BWPOD. You can get a silky smooth finish, or you can maintain that rugged 5 o'clock shadow with the Chairman Pro, whether you're on a golf course, a board meeting, or getting ready for an election. You can try the Chairman Pro with our code 20% off BWPOD. Listen, I was in fact getting oral the other night, and she was shocked, surprised, and then delighted that I had mowed the lawn, so to speak. I don't have the Chairman Pro, but it does come with a 4-blade foil. The stubble trimmer is amazing. I'm still using one of their older versions of the lawnmower, but hey, it's trimming down under, it's getting the job done. They want me to let you know that it's waterproof. It can reduce foot odor. I don't know why they include that detail. I don't know who's shaving their foot hairs with this. The Lawnmower 5.0 trimmer can reduce nicks. It reduces the risk of ingrown hairs. It can reduce the risk of grooming incidents. What's my opinion about the product? Any content you want to create about Manscaped or a product to reflect my honest opinions? Well, I just told you, I have an older version of the lawnmower. I actually use it to trim up the mutton chops on my face and groom down under, so it's kind of an all-over shaver. Actually, I have another hand razor. That thing went dull on me, and I had only shaved like half my face, so I actually went to my lawnmower from Manscaped and finished the job and got it all cleaned up. Anyway, yeah, like I said, I think I mentioned the word waterproof a few times. Yep, you can use it in the shower. The waterproof feature doesn't make it easier, but it simplifies the cleanup too, not just easier. And isn't just for daily shaves. It's powerful enough to tackle that 5-day growth. You got 75 minutes of runtime on the battery. That's a cool feature. And you can travel with it, and it's got an LED spotlight. How about that? Get the Chairman Pro today. Experience a shave that's as smooth as you deserve. Again, you can bang out 20% off plus free shipping. Surprise your special somebody with our code BWPOD. 20% off free shipping. Escape your man or do your own manscaping. Make somebody happy. When they're giving you a special treat, why don't you hook them up with a special treat? Manscaped, 20% off BWPOD. Yeah, everything I do is a joke, but I actually told you why I use Manscaped, so that's pretty impressive. There you go. Now back to the show. Already in progress. Alright, favorite bits from Brewster's Millions. I might have already said this was one of my favorite movies of all time, but it is. Some of my favorite bits include the camaraderie with the working class characters. Brewster takes his time to lift everybody up along the way, even as he tries to spend the money to win the inheritance. I like that the adventure in the movie starts almost immediately. The movie doesn't seem to waste any time. There's actually this very sincere moment when he realizes his baseball playing dreams are shattered. It's also the moment where he realizes that even if money can move mountains, it can't move ideas. It's a pretty fascinating part of the movie and genuine. You feel like Richard Pryor as Brewster, or just Richard Pryor, is in pain in that scene, conveys it on the baseball mound, and then you're literally watching almost like fly on the wall documentary, a moment where this is a big blockbuster movie. It's got a big movie star in Richard Pryor. It's got all these other stars, and it's a movie, but then there's this one sincere moment that you go, wow, I actually really feel that, and that's my favorite bit. Some other things that are interesting. I mentioned John Candy playing the friend Spike. I mentioned the standouts in the supporting cast, and there's no holdbacks, there's no takebacks. Obviously, we do this rating system: binge now, binge later, binge never. So basically, watch it now, get around to it, or don't watch it. You can't get that time back. It's a binge now, obviously. Have I already said it's one of my favorite movies? There's no guessing, there's no getting around it, and I can't hold it out in suspense. Besides the movie of the week, can I recommend something else for you to watch? What would it be? The other week, on another episode, I was talking about this movie called Brothers, which was going to come out on Amazon Prime. Waited all month for it to come out. Peter Dinklage, Glenn Close playing the mom. It's called Brothers, so one could assume it's about brothers. It's a pair of thieving brothers that are taught how to thief by their mom, and it's kind of like one of those broken down family stories. But it's a comedy, and it's Josh Brolin is the other brother, Peter Dinklage is the brother. They're supposed to be twins. It's like I was saying, if you want to fill a pocket of what the Twins movie did for you, but you got to avoid in that type of comedy, you could go to Brothers on Prime. Uh, Maybe there was too much anticipation of this movie. Maybe I had too many expectations, but I don't know. It's pretty formulaic. It's kind of lame. It's about 80 or 90 minutes, which is that's actually the perfect time for a movie. So that would be one of its positives, not one of its negatives. But Glenn Close, she looks very fetching at like a last call stunner. Last call at the bar. Last call stunner is what I would call the way they made her look in this movie. Josh Brolin actually looks wrecked in comparison. His character is a fry cook who gets fired. His wife is young and super hot and like smokingly hot, and I'm just not convinced that he would knock her up and marry her and they would have a great life together. It's almost like they just needed a plot device, and so they just layered in this thing like, okay, let's have him be a working class Joe at a chicken place, and then he's marrying this girl, and he's got to support a family, so he's got to move away from his petty thieving family from Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? There's also this weird holiday subplot, like where it's like every bad thing that happens to this family happens around conventional holidays or whatever. So anyway, he's getting ready to go to his new Thanksgiving with his new wife and her family, meet the in-laws, but he's got to pull off one last job with Peter Dinklage's character, right, the brother, and then bring in the mom. Who's trying to double or triple cross them. Then you got like correctional officer. The lawman is Brendan Fraser. Academy Award winning Brendan Fraser pops up as the guy tracking them down to try to get his cut of the loot that they're looking for. How the loot was buried is kind of funny. Like the mom's boyfriend got shanghaied in the last deal, and then she buries him with these precious metals or whatever, rubies or whatever they are, and then they're gonna go back later and dig it. Later on, it's like a golf course, so they have to excavate a golf course, and they piss off a bunch of golfers, and golfers chase after him or whatever. The best joke in the movie though is the orangutan. This girl has like an illegal pet that she's taking care of, and it has the hots for Josh Brolin's character and does some inappropriate stuff, and that's actually the funniest part of the movie. And the rest of my notebook is empty, so that must be we're nearing the end of the episode. What are the fans doing? Are they chiming in? They wanted me to confirm whether or not I was talking about Jeffrey Combs as being the guy who's in a bunch of horror movies in the 80s and 90s based on H.P. Lovecraft stuff. Yeah, it's Jeffrey Combs. I mean, again, when the episode gets pushed out there, it's long form video. It's also backed up as a podcast. It's a blog, and then it goes out into these other social channels where it gets chopped up into these little pieces. And so you're probably just looking like snips and pieces of like, string cheese. Everybody's, I was about to say America's favorite treat, but I don't think that's true. It used to be Oscar Mayer bologna, maybe hot dogs on a summer day. I don't know what the treat is for school kids these days. I don't know. Green shakes? No. Who knows? It's probably the same crap. Capri Suns, Lunchables. But string cheese used to be a big thing. Remember string cheese? That I feel like that's what the clips do on social media. It's like you got one piece of cheese and you're just chopping it up in little strings, and then it's just you're not getting the whole meal. You're just taking a little bite, and then you're supposed to track down the whole meal as if you're hungry enough to do that. These metaphors are kind of shitty, I know, but it's all I can think of. I must be hungry too. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe I'll find some string cheese. Who knows? Yeah. So these next rounds of episodes that we're gonna do, we're done with the Halloween vibes. We're done with the horror movies on AMC. We're not covering that stuff. What we're gonna do is, we'll probably talk about more shaving balls. Again, you can go Manscaped if you want. They've been supporting the show for a long time. Hopefully, they like the election jokes in their ad. I don't know how that's gonna pan out. We'll find out. I'll turn it in and we'll see if I get slapped on the wrist or if they accept that one. But that's kind of the show. If I change the nature of it, then it wouldn't really work, would it? Anyway, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so Jeffrey Combs. That's who I was talking about. The clips are starting to feel like string cheese. Don't really know what I'm gonna do with them in the future. And we're making feel-good episodes. We're talking about feel-good movies. I thought it was gonna be a bigger show. By the time I got to the Brewster's Millions episode, I thought, oh, that'll be special. That'll make everybody warm and fuzzy inside. But like, I'm recording this at like the last minute, at like 10 o'clock on a Sunday night, which is not my preferred time to record, not my preferred setting to record. And always wondering what's on the other end of the microphone. Yeah, I mean, it's like you're not supposed to. Again, I was talking about breaking fourth wall, fifth wall, sixth wall, seventh wall. I don't know what the breaking of the. There's no walls in podcasting. I don't think. I mean, it's in your ear, so they say it's an intimate space, and so when you talk to people, it's like a personal conversation. But I don't know if that's really true or not. Sometimes it feels like you're speaking into the void. Other times you just feel like you're kind of collecting yourself and making little pieces of content, like I said. And again, I'm stuck on this idea of string cheese. Listen, it's last call on the show too, by the way. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. What are we doing next week? We're covering another feel-good movie, hopefully to make you feel good. Although this one was kind of depressing. It's kind of like anti-feel good, but feel good content. Like I'm talking about movies that make you feel good in a depressing way. Hilarious. To me, I got a little bit dark lately. Anyway, maybe that's what it'll be. Maybe that's what it'll be. Contrary movies. We'll find out. Again, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. One more for the road.